What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video, and I'm sure you guys are already reading this title and thinking this is clickbait, this is ridiculous. Guys, this is just talk. I didn't say it's like an official trade rumor and everybody's talking about it. We've probably all seen the YouTube video or the tweet about it. Nick Kypreos on his show again talking about the fact that maybe Mitch Marner for Seth Jones is a thing. You've seen a couple people talk about it on television. If you want to go look up those television hits or radio hits, just go on YouTube or go on Twitter. You could see them. Marner for Jones is something that I think is ridiculous. And I also just don't think that Seth Jones is the fit that everybody thinks he is for the Toronto Maple Leafs. At first, I was like, okay, maybe this would make sense. But at the same time, then I'm like, there's better guys that are available in free agency. And there's also better guys you could get via trade for much less than Mitch Marner. And if you're going to trade Mitch Marner, then maybe you get another defenseman, and then another guy in free agency. You'd clear up cap space. I don't know. There's a lot to get into here, but I would appreciate if you actually watch the whole video and then comment, because I know there are some people that get really frustrated just by reading the title. So please just watch the whole video, even if you have to watch it later. Don't worry, I don't care if you watch it next week or 2 months, or if you don't watch the video, it's okay. But don't put a comment down below just guessing what I'm going to say in the rest of the video. I'm just giving my opinion, and I want to hear yours as well. We can have a constructive conversation. If you are new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Liking and subscribing helps me a ton. I'd greatly appreciate it. But let's just talk basics here first. Mitch Marner obviously had a really, really bad playoffs, okay? Nobody can sit here and tell me that Mitch Marner deserves to get all of the hate, because he doesn't. There's a lot of players on the team that didn't show up, including Austin Matthews, who's up for the Hart Trophy, which is great. Congratulations to him. But in the playoffs, the Leafs were 1 goal away in multiple games. And Mitch Marner had 0 goals and Austin Matthews had 1. You need more production from your top 2 paid players, well, that are available. Of course, Tavares, hopefully he's still getting better. But when you have Marner and Matthews in the lineup, those are your top 2 players. Then you have Tavares and Nylander, right? But Nylander did his job, Kerfoot did his job, Spezza did, TJ Brody did, Jake Muzzin did, Jack Campbell did. There's a lot of guys that did their job, but there was also a bunch of guys that didn't, and Marner and Matthews are the most polarizing names there. Then you go over to the Seth Jones side of things. He's only got 1 year left on his contract. He said he doesn't want to play for Columbus anymore. He's had a few bad seasons in a row. He's been a mediocre defensive defenseman. He plays a ton of minutes, but his style is more of an offensive game, in my opinion. But the Columbus system doesn't really allow for him to be that type of guy. He plays a ton of minutes, especially when he was under Tortorella, which was pretty well most of the time. And it just didn't, to me, it just seems like he could go somewhere else and maybe be a better fit. But I don't think that fit is Toronto. Now, I just want to briefly bring up something here from the Hockey Writers, their Predators section, the Nashville Predators, I should say. So basically what they're talking about here is Jones' production and how he's a polarizing player, and that most people would consider him a top 15 defenseman in the league. Now, there's people here that are writing not just based off statistics, but also the eye test, because there's the statistics side of things and then the eye test. I believe in both of those things. I like to use a combination of those things, but you kind of have to consider both of these. And he's basically, this person who wrote this was talking about the fact that Jones isn't as great as people make him out to be. Between the 2018 to 2021 season, among defensemen with a minimum of 3,500 minutes, Jones is 23rd in points. So he's not technically in the top 10 to 15 in terms of being elite and putting up points. 23rd is still pretty good, but I don't think he's a top 10 guy. Now, however, of 84 defensemen with a minimum of 3,000 even strength minutes, he ranks 70th in expected goals for percentage with a 48.1%. It's a number that jumps off the page, blah, 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 blah. Basically what that's saying, and we'll get to this chart in a second, is he's not exactly the elite guy, I guess, and I'm sure I'll get some hate for that, but he's not exactly the elite defenseman that most people think he is in terms of being a number one. I like Seth Jones, I really do, But when you're putting the conversation of Mitch Marner or, giving up a ton of assets for him, especially when he has 1 year left on his deal and he's going to demand a huge contract, I don't want the Leafs to be any part of that. But this is basically a chart. There's a lot of numbers here, and I know a lot of people don't like the numbers, but all I'll explain to you guys is there's even strength time on ice, there's power play time on ice, and we'll get to more later. But these numbers, you want the bars to be up here in the top, not the bottom. And unfortunately, a lot of Seth Jones' numbers and statistics and everything like that are showing that he is more of a mediocre or just, below average defensive guy and a below average, scorer producer. And these charts are meant to show basically what a player is like away from their line mates. Basically, this is just him. This is just Seth Jones. And unfortunately, these charts don't make him look very good, and the eye test will show you that sure, he plays a lot of minutes and he has a lot of really good games, but he also has a lot of really mediocre and poor games, especially in the defensive end. The offense that people are saying is always there is not always there. And again, it said it in this article, and I completely agree. It's not to be harsh. It's just for the assets that you want to give up for somebody like Seth Jones, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. This is another thing. Buds All Day podcast tweeted this out, and this is these charts are from Evolving Wild. So this is exactly what I was saying in a live stream a while ago, because to be honest with you guys, this Seth Jones rumor has been going on for like 2 years, regardless of what's been going on recently. Everybody has said the Leafs should split up their top four, Marner, Matthews, Nylander, or Tavares, more than likely being one of Nylander or Marner. And most people have been saying, trade for Doughty, trade for Jones, trade for a big-name defenseman. So this has been going on for a while, but I've been saying Dougie Hamilton would probably make the most sense. Now, these are a comparison for the last 3 years. So again, this is from Evolving Wild, from the 19 season, 20 and 21. Overall, his score here is a 97, 98 offense, 73 defense. Like, Dougie Hamilton is so damn good. This is the minutes, the games played. So just around 4,700 here, 220 games played. These numbers are very similar to Seth Jones. He obviously more minutes, but the same amount of games played. And as you guys can see, these numbers are blue. They're way in the good here. The offense, Dougie Hamilton is an offensive juggernaut. And the power play has been so bad for Toronto. Imagine Dougie Hamilton on that blue line. Now, he's a free agent, I believe, coming up. So obviously this would make sense, especially if you're going to trade a Morgan Riley or if you're going to trade Mitch Marner and use that money on Dougie Hamilton and then get an additional forward. Dougie Hamilton would make a lot of sense if you could, maybe if you're trading Morgan Riley or if you're trading Mitch Marner. Just look at the comparison. Like, it's not even close. This is the problem with giving away a ton of assets for somebody like Seth Jones. He's good, but he's not great. He's not Dougie Hamilton. And Seth Jones has 1 year left at 5.4, so he will more than likely be a rental for most playoff teams if he gets traded there. He's got a modified no trade clause. And if you compare it to the Mitch Marner contract, I mean, Columbus would be taking on a lot of money in terms of the AAV, but the Leafs have paid a ton of his bonuses out already. His no move clause doesn't kick in till later on, so the Leafs could trade him wherever. Again, I'm not saying that this is something that could happen, but I'd more or less like the Leafs to trade Marner for a bunch of assets, a very good player to put into the lineup, or a very good defenseman, and then try to get a guy like Dougie Hamilton versus trying to trade for Seth Jones when I just don't think it makes a ton of sense. I don't think that the move would make sense for Toronto at all. It just goes against everything that Leaf fans want. Leaf fans didn't like Tyson Barrie, so why would you like Seth Jones? Seth Jones doesn't put up the same offensive numbers as Tyson Barrie does. So if you don't want offense, okay, you want defense, right? The problem in the playoffs was not defense. The Leafs got better goaltending than Montreal did. Campbell had better numbers than Price. Brody was good. Muzzin was good till he got hurt. Hell, Morgan Riley was good. Justin Hall was pretty good. Dermott was pretty decent except for that one giveaway, and same thing with Sandin. Bogosian was solid. The Leafs' blue line didn't cost them the series. The Leafs scoring cost them the series. So if you're going to make a move to fix the power play, would be Dougie Hamilton. To make your team better would be Dougie Hamilton. If you want a guy that just plays a ton of minutes, then you go for Seth Jones. But if they're not effective minutes, then what does that matter? Like, look at these numbers here. 28 points in 56 games played. Just for the heck of it, while we're here, let's look up Dougie Hamilton. Hamilton. All right, let's look at it right here. So, yep, he's a free agent. Let's look at his numbers. 42 points in 55 games played. Like, come on, guys. Look at these numbers. 40 and 47. He's just got better numbers. And again, this isn't to crap on Seth Jones. I like Seth Jones, but there's better options, and you don't have to trade Mitch Marner for him. So let me know what you guys think. Again, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that dislike this video before it even starts. It happens every single time, but please leave your constructive criticism down below. I do appreciate you guys watching this video. Again, liking and subscribing here would mean the world. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. I appreciate you, and let me know what you guys think. Peace.